Hi, welcome to Cooking with Brad Fenson. Today we're going to learn about braising meat, which is using dry heat to brown the edges and then moisture to actually simmer it. It's a French word, braised, and it breaks down tougher cuts of meat and makes them extremely tender. Today we're doing black bear because lots of people wonder how to cook black bear. You have to get the temperature up to ensure that it's safe. So we have some black bear loin, and we also have some shank. A lot of people don't know how to cook shank, so we get 2 lessons in one day, black bear and shank. And of course, look at all this great stuff to add flavor. We got garlic and rosemary and mushroom and red onion, yellow onion, celery, beef broth, and you can use red wine or beer or more broth if you don't like wine or beer. So we're gonna brown these up, add our vegetables, get some moisture on it, and put it in the oven at 375 and check it in about 6 hours. Braising is a long, slow process, but the results are incredible. So let's get started. All right, we got a Dutch oven here. You can use a roasting pan and cover it with foil afterwards, but you know, shanks are confusing to most people. It looks like lots of connective tissue, but you cook them for a long time, simmer them, all of that disappears. It turns into gelatin and collagen and adds lots of flavor to the dish. So we're going to start browning these up, get them in some hot oil. That actually adds to the flavor of the overall dish. Browning is very important, and it's a big part of braising. So typical braised shanks would be done as osso buco, like lamb or veal. It's a popular Italian dish, and of course you can eat this on its own, or you can serve it with mashed potatoes, polenta, risotto, something like that. So there it is. Everything's in the pan. Gonna brown it up, hit it with a bit of salt and pepper. Now if you want it to brown up, leave it in the pan. Don't keep turning it. It's gonna get that crust on it from being in contact with the heat. So just leave it until it starts to form that crust. We'll check one. If it's brown, we can turn all of them. All right, you can see how that browns up so nicely, especially in the cast iron. That's gonna add a whole different layer of flavor to this dish. It's very important that you brown the meat. All right, you can see that a lot of this connective tissue is already starting to break down. It's browned on both sides. We're gonna add, like I said, some rosemary. We've got some celery, lots of different onions. Adds lots of flavor to this as it cooks. The mushrooms, the bay leaf. There it is there. Make sure you use a pot big enough to do this, and the leftovers are actually better than the first day. It just continues to get more tender. So like I said, you can use red wine or beer. If you don't like that, just use beef broth. You can even use water. We're gonna add some beer here and some beef broth. And we're just getting up to where the moisture is about 3/4 of the way up the meat. We don't need it to be swimming, so I'm not going to cover it all. It's about 4 cups. There we go. Now time's on your side. Basically, we're going to put this in the oven at 375 and check it in 6 hours. I had to sneak a peek. Normally I'd leave it in a little bit longer, but it's done. So sneaking a peek, it never hurts. And of course, when you look at this, when you go to grab a piece, it just falls apart. So all that connective tissue that holds that together is broken down, and these are fall apart tender. We'll pull some of these out and see if we can find that loin tooth. Here's another one where you try to pick it up and it just falls apart. And that's how you want your shank to be. All of those different lines of gristle basically turn into gelatin and collagen, and they taste delicious, and it adds so much flavor to the broth here that it's hard to believe. So there's mushrooms and onions and celery and all the good stuff in here. Oh, here's another one. Just again to show you, like so tender that it just falls apart when you shake it. And that's exactly what you're looking for. If you tried to cook shank quickly, it's gonna be tough. You don't give it time to break down. If you grind it into your burger, all those pieces don't cook long enough. They're tough. They're the chewy bits that nobody likes. If you take the time to cook the shanks properly, they are going to be one of your favorite meals. You'll be surprised at the flavor that it does add. And look at the part that's hard to believe is how tender they are. It just pulls apart tender, and you know, that's what anyone is going to enjoy. So this is also buco. Normally you would make mashed potatoes, risotto, even rice, serve it over the top, some meat, some vegetables, and enjoy. If you have a black bear, you're looking for a good way to cook it where it's well done and super tender, here it is. Any big game animal that you take shanks off of, again, braising them is the way to go, and it'll just give you more appreciation for the entire animal.